What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be breaking down the CPI report and talk about what's happening to the market right now. SPY is up in the pre-market, so is Tesla, so is NEO, and many other tickers out there. I'm going to break down what happened with the CPI numbers and what you should be watching for. Let me first say, though, that I'm not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Put in $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward. Anyways, let's talk about the markets, what on earth is going on. SPY is up 0.34% in the pre-market as of right now. I'm recording this about 45 minutes before open. Tesla's up 1.45%. NEO is up 3.57%. Up pretty big since I started calling it out. Ford is up, QQQ is up. The market is green almost everywhere except for Aapl. I think Aapl was kind of flat or a little bit of red for now, but it's still holding up. It's only down 0.3%. So things are looking pretty strong right now. What is going on? How did CPI come out? Well, the numbers just came out, and we're seeing CPI at 4% versus the forecast of 4.3%. So it was lower than expected, lower than expectations, and the previous report was 4.9%. So we're lower than what the previous report was. We're lower than expectations. CPI was technically very, very cool. Looking at it month over month, we had 0.1% versus the forecast of 0.3%. Once again, cooler than expected. Core, however, was very close to expectations at 5.3%. The forecast was 5.4%. Consensus was 5.3%. Core was lower than the previous report of 5.5%, but in actuality, 5.3% is not bad. CPI was this core CPI month over month, 0.4%, which is very close to what the forecast was of 0.3%. Very, very close. Overall, almost everything was as expected, if not lower than expected. CPI is showing signs of cooling off according to the data. And am I saying this data is 100% credible? The answer is no. It's calculated just weighing in different things. But at the end of the day, the market looks at this. The market puts lots of consideration in this. And when you see headlines like this tends to be good news for the market and the Fed's policies. What do I mean by that? Well, the news articles are saying inflation rose at about 4%, right, for the annual rate for the month of May, and that's the lowest we've seen in just 2 years. That is good news for the markets technically. That is showing some signs that, progress is being made. Does this mean we're in the clear for all of summer? Not necessarily, but it could be a good sign that the Fed may pause very soon. Am I promising that? Not necessarily, but there's a high probability. And for now, the market is still excited. Now, looking at some more data, you could see right here, we have the adjusted rates right over here. You could see the change came right here, and you could see there was an increase about 4% on all items. Food was up 6.7%. Energy is what caused us to drop. It was down like 11.7%. So that had a big weight on this. And then all other items without food and energy were up 5.3%, right? So overall, not bad. I wouldn't say this was necessarily bad. Now we can look at more specific numbers. We have the 12-month unadjusted inflation rate from May at 4%, 0.1% for all items. Food up 0.2%. Energy 0.5 overall. Negative. So this was a drop on energy commodities by 3.6%. We saw basically very similar numbers to the previous report, except lots of drops here and there. Just according to this data, apparel once again is basically the same. Most of the numbers are very similar. Let's see what else is here. Once again, there's not much else to say from there. Overall, pretty decent report. Now looking at some more headlines, the market's saying that the S&P 500 could pop after Tuesday's CPI, according to JP Morgan. Market is very excited. Now let's break down these charts, what's happening so far. So far, at the time, at the time I'm recording this, the market's not really moving too much. It's up a little bit, but this is still a very, very good sign. Now, it all depends on the Fed now. Because CPI was low, there's a decent chance that PPI won't be too bad. It's all on the Fed. Will the Fed pause after this information is out? If the Fed pauses, okay, this thing is going to rip. The market is going to rip very hard, in my opinion. I think SPY is going to go all the way up to its next major resistance in the 440 to 442 area if we do get a Fed pause. And if it breaks that, it could go all the way up to 450. Market's going to most likely rip. Market's going to be very excited. And historically, when the Fed pauses, the market does have a tendency of pumping quite hard. For now, we're up to about 435 a share. This is, once again, very, very good news. Market's holding up nicely. We're going to be watching some resistance at 436 to 436.25 to 436.64, since we are technically above 435 as of right now. We have support at 435, and then 434 basically, and then 433.69, 433. The 50 EMA on the 1 hour time frame is a lot higher than before, which gives this thing a lot more support. So now we have 431.22 as major support, 430. These things are going to be holding up as support. Just a couple of days ago, these things were at resistance. Now they're acting as support. So that's a very good sign for the markets. And SPY is slowly pumping up. It's not very hard. It's only up like 0.4%. That's still a good sign for a lot of people who are waiting to hop in or who want to trade at these lower levels so that premiums are just not too expensive. I personally held some calls, but just a very tiny position. I secured most profits beforehand just to manage risks. I was very careful with this, and it's very important to manage risks going forward. And now let's talk about some other very, very important things. Looking at Tesla, this thing is up, let's see, 1.3%. There was news about Cathie Wood selling a part of her position of Tesla, I think in a video too, but she was just securing profits because of the uncertainty in the current market. Despite that, Tesla has gapped above the major resistance at this, what was it, the 250 area. It's gapped up. It's looking quite strong. If Tesla breaks below 250, there's this gap down here at 249. Then we have our next major support at 247.5, 245.95, then 244.5. However, right now it broke above it. As long as it holds above 250, this thing has the potential to push all the way up to the 254 resistance. If it breaks that, we're going to be watching 257.65 after 255. And then the next major resistance is going to come all the way up to 260. There's a lot of potential to push up. We're about to get a bullish cross on the hourly PPO, looking pretty nice on Tesla. NIO is pumping quite nicely. It's up again. It's almost at $9, and I'm sure you guys remember me calling this out a couple of days ago that NIO has a really, really nice setup that's playing out. Netflix is up to the resistance area, very close to this $430 area. I told you guys if it broke 420, you're going to be watching 425.78, then 430. That's where it is. Could break all the way up to 435 later on, but we'll have to see if it breaks that. QQQ, we're up quite nicely. We're at the next major resistance zone. I told you guys this zone was at about 363.5, I believe is what I was looking at, and that is where it's testing this resistance right here. I'm sorry, it was 363.34. That's where the QQQ is testing it, so watch that. If it breaks that, 365 is going to come, 366, then we have 368.99. If it breaks down, 361 is going to be the next major support. Then comes 360 and 359. For now, it's looking strong. The odds do not favor more downside. The market's looking strong. The market's going to most likely continue to push moving forward. And like I said before, the market's going to like this. If the Fed ends up pausing, that's going to be very bullish news. Anyways, guys, I went over the majority of them. Apple's just a little bit in the red, but it's starting to, pump up again. If it gaps down, it has this imbalance here. It's going to try to make its way up here again. It just has a lot of resistance at this 185 zone. So that's why it's just, slowing down a bit. The video's at 400 right now. If it holds above 400, we're going to be watching 405, then potentially 411. And after that comes 415, and then I think it's 420 after that, right? We have this potential inverse head and shoulder structure. It's still pushing up, wants to get to this 405 level. The video is looking good, looks strong. No sign of weakness in the pre-market. Meta is also pretty strong. It's once again approaching this imbalance level, trying to push up. We're gonna be watching 275 to 276 very soon. If it breaks that, we can see it get closer to 280. So overall, market looks very nice, very solid, continuing to pump, no sign of major weakness. And let's just see how it opens. Sometimes during these events, we see the market cool off a little in the morning, and then we just continue to look bullish. As of right now, this data is bullish. Market is bullish. Okay, and don't forget, what's going to be even more important now is the Fed. It's all on Jerome Powell. If they give us that pause, we are going to the absolute moon, and the odds greatly favor that now that we got a very decent CPI. All right, guys, so get ready for market open. Thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys later on. Market to the moon as the long term is very bright, and peace out.